Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is a requested video, so I'd love your feedback on it. This is an ASMR bonus, it's not beauty related. This is actually a day out at the museum. So as you can see, everything to begin with was about me eating. So Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme, you name it. We stopped midway down to Newcastle from Glasgow, and I thoroughly enjoyed eating every donut I liked the look of. Then when we got to Newcastle, I'd never been before, so it was really interesting to just see the key focal points and then have a quick look around the metro centre. I'd never actually been before, so I liked how they'd laid it out. It is huge, it's as big as they tell you it's going to be, and I liked the sort of older style part of it that they'd fashioned to look like it used to look in the past. But then the main part of that day, I'd always been interested in going to the Newcastle Museum. So I decided to definitely go in and have a look at the Discovery Museum for ourselves. And what was really interesting was they've done everything they can to make it interesting to everybody, no matter what it is that you're particularly looking forward to seeing. So immediately when you went in, they had this huge boat and all the information about it. I think it is actually built to scale. It was huge. And then me being me, I'm always a sucker for anything to do with recent history, so there was a lot of sort of advertising from the sort of 40s onwards. There was a lot to do with the history, obviously, of Newcastle, and this was dating back to medieval times. So many different industries in that area. It's such a rich and cultured place, and you could have spent all day there. There's just so much to learn about how everyone used to live, how they survived, even, what they had to make do with food-wise, what they had to make do with to cook it. Then obviously it moved on to how people survived with illnesses and ailments, the sizes of the houses that they lived in. I mean, just look here, that's your medical implements. And also quite funny that sometimes when you see the makeshift dressed mannequins, there's always a part of you that doesn't want to touch it in case it turns out it's a person, but that was definitely a mannequin. But you had a look at different living room setups, examples of the clothing that people wore through the ages. Obviously you had like your average person all the way up to what you would consider a wealthier family. And then as you worked your way around the Discovery Museum, it would become more and more evolved in the years and the centuries until you were approaching the 1800s, the 1900s. And then you start to see things that are quite familiar with what you would term as modern history. And there's so many things that you see that you either recognise through, depending what age you are. Sometimes it's grands and great aunts and great uncles, and you might have seen something that was familiar either in their houses or old family pictures. And then obviously there's the war. 2 world wars have got a lot of information relating to them. And it's fascinating just to see what people had to cope with and what they had to do. And then it evolved into, in the UK, like the NHS and the type of ways that they looked after you when you weren't well back in the day. Moving on to your 50s and your 60s. These are particularly the areas that I like, just to see up close what everyone was wearing, what they were reading, what they were eating and drinking. Then you've got quite recent sort of popular culture. It's always really interesting when they have in, the actual examples of the clothing, actual examples of food and drink, a lot of albums, a lot of annuals. Don't know who remembers, there's Star Wars, Pink Panther. There's so many annuals, and I don't know if anyone feels old when they go into a museum and you see something that you had. And at this bit, this was the sort of 80s and 90s part, and I recognised so many things that I either remembered having or wished I'd had. And you think to yourself, yes, I'm that old that I owned things that are now in a museum. Please leave a comment and tell me what you can see here that you recognise from your childhood, or you might actually still own, and we can all feel old together. But yeah, there's so many things there, and I'm like, yep, had that, ate that, read that, Mr. Blobby. So Vidal Sassoon, yep, had that. And then it sort of moved on to modern day. And again, you're looking and you're thinking, yep, got that too. But what they also did was they kept it modern too. They had some current design, and they were showing you what's happening now within Newcastle. So it was good to see almost a sort of nod to the past whilst looking towards the future. So they incorporated some classic design, and they had that side by side with some modern design and modern takes on it. So that was really interesting to see what today's designers are looking towards for inspiration, and that it really did complement what you saw from days gone by. And there's so much talent out there, but it's also lovely to see that side by side with classic creations. And then this part was focused on the Tube, which was a Newcastle produced music programme that was from early to mid 80s, and it was such a huge programme. So again, that started when I was 2, so that programme was on a little bit before my time, but it was such a huge thing in the Newcastle area. They used to have the stars of the day flying up or getting the train up to Newcastle for this live music show. And people had said, you will not get your big A-list celebrities coming up here, but they got everyone from U2 to Madonna back in the day. And that was how huge it was. So Newcastle's very proud of that show, so it had its entire own section. And then you also see where technology is evolving from typewriters to PCs, and again, I bet you saw something there that you recognise you either had or wanted. And then it was a quick trip back to the Metro Centre for a little nosy about. And then just so gorgeous a day to drive home back to Glasgow. It was about a 3-4 hour drive, and it was just a gorgeous day. So let me know if you'd like more ASMR road trips by leaving me a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe.